Coming up on this week's edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
It's boots on the hill as we head to Washington, D.C. for NCBA's legislative conference. Plus, we announced the national winner of the Environmental Stewardship Award Program.
And now, NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Hello and welcome to Cattlemen to Cattlemen. I'm Kate Maher. We're in Washington, D.C., site of NCBA's annual legislative conference. This event allows cattle producers from across the country to join with NCBA's Washington-based policy team for 3 days of advocacy on Capitol Hill. They'll meet with members of Congress and regulatory officials to discuss issues that can impact the beef industry. And joining me now is NCBA President Mark Isley. Mark, we're here in D.C. at the NCBA Legislative Conference. How does the work being done here this week by our members really help support the work that NCBA staff do in D.C. every day throughout the year?
When producers show up in town, they've got hats on the hill and boots on the ground. It reemphasizes to our legislators and their staff how these things affect real producers in real life in real time.
You know, another big part of this event is our state affiliates are all here with their members telling their stories too. How important is it to have those state affiliates and NCBA working together this week?
Well, it goes back to strength in numbers, but they also get to hear regional and state intensified stories of what's happening to producers, how good rules or bad rules, good legislation, bad legislation can help or hurt affect their livelihoods.
You know, you ranch on public lands out in Wyoming. The Public Lands Council is also part of this event this week. Talk about the partnership between the Public Lands Council and NCBA and how it really impacts the cattle industry.
Well, absolutely. It's super important because so many cattle, especially in the western part of the country, graze and use public lands. And it's a huge tool for management. It's a great fire load reducer. They focus on a lot of the rules and regulations for public lands. NCBA focuses on the big picture as far as legislation and the agency stuff. But when you get us together, we're really powerful. We're very effective. We have great stories to tell. And those legislators in Congress need to hear that. They need to know what those stories are.
It really kind of showcases that in the cattle industry, we're really better together than we are on our own. You know, another really great part of this legislative conference is we have the honor of announcing the national winner of the Environmental Stewardship Award. We know how important this program is to tell the story of sustainable beef production to consumers. Why is it so important to showcase the winners in this program to members of Congress here in D.C.?
I love the ASAP program. It's so strong. It's so powerful. And I came up through part of that program, and it was great because you got to see what was working on ranches, you saw what wasn't working on ranches, but you could take it home and make improvements on your place. And cattle producers they're real humble. They don't necessarily want to talk about what they're doing. This allows them to do it. It puts it in a showcase, and we can show the legislators how these things work, how we're sustainable, how we're using the resources wisely, how it helps local economies. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's just a great way to show and prove what we're doing, and it's a wonderful setting to do, especially here in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, it's great to get that out in front of members of Congress so that they know that we're sustainable as well. Mark, thank you for your leadership. Thanks for being here in D.C. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. You definitely walk the walk and talk the talk and lead by example. We really appreciate you.
I'm having a great time. Thank you.
You can take the first step to helping Mark and other producers here in D.C. and our D.C. staff by becoming a member of NCBA. It's easy to do. Just call 1-866-233-3872 or go to the website ncba.org. Joining me now is Kim Brackett, who is a cow-calf and stocker operator from Idaho. She also serves as NCBA's policy chair. Kim, we talk a lot on this show about NCBA's grassroots policy-making process and the importance to beef producers, but talk about the importance of it here in D.C. this week during legislative conference where the boots are on the hill.
Oh, absolutely. Our NCBA policy process is the core of what we're doing here this week. Our members develop our policy, they approve our policy, and the messages that we're delivering in offices this week are all based on that policy. So that boots on the hill is absolutely critical to what we're doing this week.
So right here in D.C. is really where the rubber meets the road in terms of the work that our producers do throughout the year. What are some of the key topics that producers have been taking out to their legislative members this week?
Oh, there's a lot of topics and a lot of discussions, but a couple that are top of mind for us are continuing to support the checkoff, making sure that folks in this town understand that this checkoff is producer funded, it's producer led, and that it's really critical for growing beef demand both domestically and overseas. And also, this has definitely been Farm Bill time, talking a lot about Farm Bill and making sure lawmakers understand the importance of continuing to fund the vaccine bank when we're talking about FMD, making sure they continue to focus on risk management, disaster relief, and also voluntary conservation efforts through NRCS.
There's never any shortage of issues to talk about. What do you hear back from members of Congress, or the value of the producers being here in DC to talk face to face with these members of Congress?
I think it is beyond measure. When we come to town and we're in our cowboy boots and we're in our cowboy hats, we are received so positively by the majority of congressional offices that we visit, and they really appreciate hearing our stories. It gives us an opportunity to further build those relationships with those offices, share what we do on our farms and ranches and why we do that. And also those new folks, we have an opportunity to build a relationship and provide them with facts about the cattle industry, hoping to encourage them making decisions on facts, on science, as opposed to emotion-based decisions.
Those relationships are so important as they continue their work throughout the year when maybe producers aren't here, to make sure that they have that information at hand, and the NCBA is the resource for that. That's a great point. You've been to a few of these events now, anywhere from convention to here at the legislative conference. What's your feedback that you get, not only from elected officials, but really from the producers that come here to DC to tell their stories?
Oh, both sides of that. I would say from elected officials, there is a tremendous amount of respect for cattle producers across the country and for NCBA as well. So I attribute a lot of that success to our staff here in DC and the work they do for us every day. And on the member side, when I visit with folks that maybe this is their first time to legislative conference, they're always blown away by the scope of individuals we hear from that come in and speak to us. And then they are run off their feet with all of these meetings that they get to attend and share that message with their congressional offices as well as agencies that we visit throughout the week.
Yeah, great work being done here. Thank you for the work that you do leading NCBA's policy division. We really appreciate your time here in DC. We know it's time away from your ranch.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kate.
Still to come on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, we'll introduce you to the national winner of the Environmental Stewardship Award. Stay with us.
Weeds will rob me of my investments. The weeds are not palatable to cows. They will not eat them, or if they do eat them, some of them may be toxic. So there's a return on investment by allowing there to be more grass available to be grazed by the cattle.
You work hard to feed your herd and maintain your property. John Deere 6 Series tractors give you choices that fit your operation. 6E tractors are simple and easy to use around your ranch. See all the angles when moving snow or maneuver easily in tight spots with 6M tractors. Get more power and premium comfort with 6R tractors. Mixing feed, weighing bales, and loading goods have never been easier with new loader technologies on 6Rs. Ask your John Deere dealer to learn more.
Are you concerned about the impact government policies could have on your cattle business? One way to make your voice heard in Washington is by joining NCBA. When you join, you'll be part of the nation's oldest and largest national cattle industry organization that has a professional team working in Washington, D.C. on issues that matter to cattle-producing families nationwide. Don't stay on the sidelines. Make your voice heard by joining NCBA today at the website ncba.org.
Welcome back as we continue our coverage of the NCBA Legislative Conference in Washington, D.C. Another important part of this event is the announcement of the national winner of the Environmental Stewardship Award. Congratulations to this year's winner, G-Bar C Ranch of Texas.
In North Texas, the G-Bar C Ranch was started by G.C. Ellis in 1982. Today, the ranch is managed by his daughter Meredith, while her son represents the third generation to call this land home. At G-Bar-C Ranch, they're committed to raising cattle in a way that nurtures the environment and promotes biodiversity. Meredith feels that every organism, big or small, is important to the overall health of the ecosystem, and she's cataloged more than 500 different species that call the ranch home. The Ellis family understands diversity must be nurtured from the ground up and focuses their efforts on soil health, specifically capturing and storing carbon. Studies have shown the amount of CO2 sequestered is the same as taking 551 cars off the road every single year. For G-Bar-C Ranch, the goal each day is to demonstrate that cattle ranching and a healthy environment can go hand in hand.
In everything that we do at the G-Bar-C Ranch, we're committed to continually improving the environment in which our ranch operates. We're eager to be curious and explore and try new things. When I'm 99 years old, I will still be on my journey of learning. My conviction is to take care of this landscape and to protect it and make sure that it continues to be working lands. And it will continue to be a thriving, diverse community for all the living things, including cattle.
I'm joined now by Meredith Ellis of the G-Bar-C. Meredith, congratulations to you and your family on the win tonight. What does it mean to you to be awarded the National ESAP Award winner?
Oh, for me and my family, it's equivalent to a Lifetime Achievement Award. I mean, everything my father has worked for the past 40 years, building our ranch, and then for me to take it on, and it's just something that is a day that I will never forget for the rest of my life.
You know, there were so many emotions in the crowd tonight, and that's really what this award is all about. You talk about how it's your goal to protect every species on your ranch. How do cattle help you achieve that goal?
Yeah, so if you think about ruminant animals on our nation's prairie, they exist for thousands of years in symbiosis with the landscape. And so the landscape benefits from proper disturbance from cattle. And if you find that beautiful balance, I mean, the effects are just amazing. We've documented over 660 species on our land and counting, over 100 different species of birds, and it's part of ranching. We have a lot to be proud of in the United States as far as ranching.
I love how you mentioned cows as a ruminant animal, because I think that rumen is just so important to so much that cows can do for us.
Yeah.
You know, we're here in Washington, D.C. during the legislative conference where we announced you and your family as the national winner. What does it mean to bring, you share your story with so many people. What does it mean to bring that story to Capitol Hill, to Congress, about the story of sustainable beef production and what it means to all the people around the world?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's so easy for us ranchers to just be out in the pasture and not speak out about what we're doing, but it's so important because we've all got great stories to tell, no matter if we're in Florida or we're in Washington or we're in Texas. It's so important to share the environmental benefits of what we're doing because we're doing excellent work.
Thank you for all the excellent work you do on our ranch, for all the regional winners that do so much excellent work on their ranches and for beef producers in general, right? Thank you and your son, JC, for being here tonight. Congratulations to you and your family. Thanks for joining us on Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
It's an honor.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
If you'd like to find out more about the ESAP winners and learn about the nomination process, visit the website environmentalstewardship.org. When we come back, it's time for a weather update with meteorologist Matt Makins. So stay with us.
Cattle producers across the country work hard to care for their animals and their land. The USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service is there to help. Find out how you can work with NRCS to develop a conservation plan for your operation. Find possible funding resources for implementing conservation practices, or get free expert advice on ways to improve your farm or ranch. Visit the website nrcs.usda.gov today.
Cattlemen and women are dedicated to managing their land and cattle in a sustainable way. They want to leave a legacy for future generations. For more than 30 years, the Environmental Stewardship Award has worked to honor these caretakers of the land and to share their stories. To find out more and to learn how you can nominate a farm or ranch for the Environmental Stewardship Award, visit the website environmentalstewardship.org.
Join the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. NCBA is the oldest and largest national cattle industry organization working to defend your interests in Washington, D.C. And there are big benefits to being a member. You'll get news you can use in the National Cattlemen, email updates in the NCBA Beef Bulletin, plus big discounts only for NCBA members. Join by calling 866-233-3872 or online at ncba.org. Time now for Weather Watch with meteorologist Matt Makins.
Matt Makins here. It's time for this week's Weather Watch. I have some concerns as we head into summer, so I want to address that. And then also some beneficial moisture for parts of summer as well. So it's not all bad, not all good. Let's kind of mix it all together, if you will. So let's chat about my concerns first. And that's mostly going to be the southern tier of states from New Mexico into Texas. The map you're looking at, this is soil moisture. I set it to look at the root zone. So for grasses and things throughout Arizona, New Mexico, western Texas, especially the Panhandle, there's not a lot of water in that soil, I'm afraid. You hit central and east Texas, sure, soggy, all the way to the southeast, soggy in the northeast. We have some wetness here in Michigan. Another dry patch of soil throughout Minnesota and the upper Midwest, stretching into Wisconsin, parts of the Dakotas, and then moisture from north central Kansas through Nebraska, all the way up the high plains of Montana into the prairies of Canada. So just by and large, looking at this map for soil moisture, hay and alfalfa areas look good for the central and northern plains, good soil moisture. Corn areas, we've improved a lot around Iowa, but we may have some concerns into Minnesota and Wisconsin. Parts of Ohio and Indiana have been really wet recently, perhaps too wet. So kind of a double-edged sword, I guess you could say. But grasslands down to the south, we have some soil moisture issues here, and we need to address that. Can we do so going forward? This is kind of an internal model, if you will, that I look at. That's why the map is less pretty. But this is just going through week by week all the way into June and July. It's going to track areas of moisture for you. So look at the blues, that's moisture areas, and the oranges and reds, that's drought. So look for the southeast. We dry this area out progressively through June, through July into August. We shift that moisture into the central, then northern plains, then up into Canada, and kind of shrink it down at the same time. So this animation, again, it starts now, it goes week to week all the way into July and August. It's showing you the northward progression of most of the moisture, and settling in behind that is going to be drought areas. And if we're already in drought, you kind of know where I'm going here. My concerns for the summer are growing drought where we have it, down across the southern plains. Meanwhile, we'll keep some moisture in a lot of the hay and alfalfa areas. We'll have more updates on this as we go into future C2C episodes. Until the next time, Matt Nakins here.
Still ahead, we'll introduce you to one of the many cattle producers who is helping to direct the work of the Federation of State Beef Councils. Stay with us.
By installing Ritchie waterers, you save water while keeping it fresh and always available to your animals. You protect the land by keeping natural water clean and soil healthy. And you conserve power because they're energy efficient. We're committed to helping you create a prosperous, sustainable, and regenerative future because we know, like you know, that every saved drop matters. Ritchie, fresh water for life.
Join the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. There are big benefits to being a member. You'll get industry news in the National Cattlemen, email updates in the NCBA Beef Bulletin, plus discounts just for NCBA members. Join by calling 866-233-3872 or online at ncba.org.
Cattle Cons geared up for a real Texas get-together in San Antonio, February 4th through 6th, 2025. This is where we all come together and the big decisions get made. Like they say, if you ate at the table, you might just be on the menu. So let's show up and make sure your voice counts. While you're here, you've got to check out the acres and acres of the newest in cattle care and ranch tech at the Texas Size NCBA Trade Show. It's the perfect place to learn new tricks, meet new folk, and find ways to make your operation even better. Make connections that last, learn from the pros, and help steer the future of the cattle biz. So what are you waiting for? San Antonio remembers the Alamo, and you'll want to remember CattleCon 2025, February 4th through 6th. Grab your hat and mosey on over to convention.ncba.org to learn more. We can't wait to see y'all at CattleCon 2025, when the beef industry meets.
This beef quality assurance tip is funded by the Beef Checkoff.
Hi, I'm Dan Buskirk, Beef Extension Specialist with Michigan State University with a beef quality assurance tip. Using the injection triangle in the neck eliminates beef product defects in more valuable cuts of the carcass, such as the top butt and the round. And blemishes in the neck are more easily trimmed or easily removed at harvest. Always administer injections according to the manufacturer's labeled instructions, and when the label allows the choice of route of administration, choose subcutaneous over intramuscular to further reduce the possibility of injection site lesions. The lower boundary of the injection triangle is above the cervical vertebrae in the middle of the neck. The upper boundary is below the nuchal ligament, which is 2 to 3 inches below the top line. The posterior boundary of the triangle is in front of the shoulder. Regardless of the age of the animal, do not give injections in the rear leg or the rump. Make certain everyone on your team is BQA certified and uses the injection triangle. For more information on injection site management and record keeping, visit bqa.org.
The Beef Quality Assurance Program is funded by the Beef Checkoff.
I'm Nancy Jackson. I'm a large animal veterinarian, a cow-calf producer with Southern Cross Farm in Eupora, Mississippi, and I am the Federation of State Beef Councils. An important aspect of being part of the Federation of State Beef Councils is the volunteer leadership to come in and represent the producers from all over the United States that are producing this product that we are so proud of. The Federation was formed in the year I was born, and so as I reflect on how it's vital in the things that I was taught in high school, things about nutrition, and some of the animal welfare things as I learned through my veterinary education, and beef quality assurance has been such a huge background in my life professionally. That's been checkoff funded for years. And so for me to think about 60 years and we're still moving on, we're still increasing, we're promoting beef and wanting it to be the protein of choice around the world. So the checkoff dollars is still exactly critical, and that federation to come together and work as a team is critical because we have states that have more cows than people, and then we have other states that where their human population is more. And so by pooling our money together from the checkoff dollars under one umbrella in the Federation of State Beef Councils, together we can accomplish more and share those resources to reach the consumers. So it's a grassroots, we're pooling together our resources to promote and educate people about beef. All the programs impact states in different areas, but for my state specifically, one of the things that we very happily use for the Federation of State Beef Councils is the imaging and cooking methods and the access to Beef It's What's for Dinner, because we'll share that on digitally on our Facebook site. We don't have the money as our state to photograph some of these or to develop the recipes, but as a member of the Federation of State Beef Councils, we're able to put that out. We're able to hold hamburger and steak contests and get the recognition through the media. The checkoff is absolutely critical, and I love to tell producers about it because I think sometimes producers don't realize how far that dollar goes. Your $1 counts. It is used wisely. The Federation of State Beef Councils really want people to understand it's a volunteer-led organization. We work so hard to be a very effective stewards of the money. The biggest thing is we're really wanting people to know that beef is nutritious, beef is wholesome, beef is safe. And the Federation funds so much research in promotion and industry information that individual producers can't do. By belonging their contribution to their state and their state contributing to the Federation, together we accomplish so much more, both nationally and internationally and on a global scale.
In this episode, we've highlighted the importance of getting involved to promote and protect the cattle industry. There's another important event coming up where members of the beef industry will come together to discuss current issues, work on programs and initiatives, and make plans for the upcoming fiscal year. It's the Cattle Industry Summer Business Meeting, and it will be held July 8th through the 10th in San Diego, California. You can get details on how to attend at the website ncba.org. That wraps up this edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. Thanks so much for spending some time with us. We'll see you again next week, right here on RFD TV.